You want to see there?
Or you can see
I
it.
can see.
You just tell me.
Yeah, okay.
Hello, hello. A very good evening, everyone. You are watching a live at home with me, Daphne Iking. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as Twitter. So whatever platform you're watching from, assalamu alaikum. And once again, a very good evening. Now, today's show is going to be slightly different because I'm not going to be hosting this special live stream alone. I'm actually inviting a good friend of mine from Sabah to host this show for many, many reasons, which I will get into deeper with him in just a bit. But just a little preamble and a quick introduction about this wonderful, wonderful man before I invite him in. He is a radio announcer on KK12 FM with his own show, Make It Happen. And he is absolutely rich with experience as well as stories. I knew immediately when I saw him that we were going to be great friends beyond just our hosting gig. So we met over a year ago as we had to MC a huge event in Sabah, and we just hit it off right away. We've kept in touch, of course, and the last time we met him was during the Sabah elections. And ever since then, actually ever since we first met, I said, okay, we need to find ways to work together. Okay, Ben, we must. And of course, weeks turn to months, months turns to a year. But finally, here we are today, making it happen on a topic that we both politically can agree on. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my good friend, Ben Ozil. Ben!
Hello, hey Daphne. Good
We
to see
are
you.
making it
I
happen!
know, right? I know.
Oh, we're both in blue.
I know. Well, I'm a Joe Biden fan, and if I had the privilege to vote in the American elections, I think I would be a Democrat, so to speak. Yeah. So blue is a great color to wear today.
Okay, that's the whole reason why I'm in blue too. But since you pointed it out, okay, then everyone knows how happy I am that today is happening. Today is the day, and perhaps Ben, you can kick things off by telling our viewers at home about our topic today and why we are doing this.
Yes, so we have a very packed yet insightful show today, Daphne, as we commemorate the inauguration of Joseph R. Biden, who will be the 46th president of the United States of America, and one of the most important and powerful jobs in the world, whose decisions, good or bad, will absolutely impact internationally, including us right here in Malaysia, whether we like it or not. One thing interesting is that he will enter the presidency with major challenges, as we know, especially with the handling of the pandemic response. Just this morning, the number of deaths in the US due to COVID-19 has surpassed 400,000 people. So it's just mind-boggling to see how this responses were was handled basically. So it's just upsetting to see that they've not been able to tackle it, and it'll be interesting to see how Joe Biden will tackle it with his presidency. And Joe Biden will also inherit, among others, the most challenging political and also economic environments
Poor
of
fella.
any US president. So talk about how things are tough, the things that we always hear in the media. Yeah, he's going to be the person to fix all of that. Will he have enough time? Will he have that 4 years to undo, or perhaps to fix whatever that is needed to be fixed? We just don't know. So during this show, we'll cover some of the key moments that led us to this historic event. We'll also reflect on some Trump's really controversial policies in between our talk today. We will also share some fun facts about past inaugurals. You and I, Daphne, we're MCs, and we love ceremonies, and we love being in the know of what's next.
Yep.
So I use events like this to practice, so to speak. Like, okay, what's next? If I am an MC, what will I do? So it's always fun to see the ceremony, and also it's reality TV at its best, I would say.
I know, right?
We'll also cover what will the first 100 days of Joe Biden's presidency will look like. I just read on Facebook just moments ago that I think he, at about 5:15 Eastern time, which is right about the time that I need to go to the studio, the radio studio tomorrow, he'll be signing about 17 executive orders, and I think majority of them will be overturning what Trump has did in previous years. So yeah, those are some of the things that we'll be sharing today. So yeah, there's one thing that Joe Biden said that really struck me. And this he mentioned in his farewell speech. He was riding a plane from Delaware onwards to Washington, and he said this to his late son, Beau Biden, many years ago. He said, "Don't tell things can't change. They can, and they do. That's America."
Wow,
so
powerful.
So despite all that's happening right now, all the grim things that we are watching in the media, I think inaugurations offer a chance for Americans, and also for those who love America, to look ahead and put aside all their differences and reflect on the possibilities. That's the major thing about the American dream, the possibility of making things happen. So I personally saw that capability and experienced it myself when I was in the States. 11 wonderful years that I spent in Nashville, Tennessee. And I learned so much about America, what the American dream is all about. And trust me, I'm back here in Malaysia. There's so many things that I brought back from the United States and apply it here in my life. And having experienced 2 inaugurations before, while in the US, I look at these events as a moment to envision what's possible in the future.
So you were in US when Obama's inauguration took place, when he won. How did you feel about that?
I was. I think like a lot of Americans at that time, we were wanting to see some change happen. Yes, we can. That was the tagline. If you read Barack Obama's new book, he mentioned how corny that tagline is. Yes, we can. Yes, you can. And it stuck with people. And it's, again, going back to the possibilities of envisioning what's possible in the United States. So to have Barack Obama, as eloquent as he is, and also being the first African American president to ever hold office at the presidency. So obviously you are part of history. That was in 2008, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah, that's right, 2008. I've had the privilege of emceeing a few events, 2 events where he was in the ceremony. I remember the security was so tight, but we did everything that we could just so that we could maintain or be there, And his charm and wit and he just has something about him. He doesn't look tired at all. He makes it look so effortless, being the leader of the free world, you know what I mean? And I'm very excited today because of the fact that, when 4 years ago, when Hillary Clinton was up against Donald Trump, I said, come on, surely everyone would vote for her. I mean, she's got the experience, she's got the know-how, she already knows the system in and out. So come on.
I'm in the same boat as you. I really thought that Hillary was going to win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She won popular vote, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part of,
sad and scary part.
Sad and scary part of American politics, especially when it comes to the election. You don't win by the popular vote. You win by the electoral college.
Yeah.
So Trump won, obviously. So he prevailed, and that's how we ended up.
I think that's the reason why a lot of personalities, celebrities were using their platform for this election, saying go out and vote. Whatever you do, whatever you choose, whoever you choose, go and vote. Because I think that was where everyone was complacent, like you and I, thinking, she's gonna win. It's all right. Everyone's gonna vote for her. So what does my vote matter? I mean, that's what the response was from those who were, of course, rooting for the Democrats and Hillary Clinton. But
well, look at the state of Georgia. I mean, it has been traditionally a Republican state because
that's
it's
right.
in the South. And look where this election came about. And Georgia is immediately flipped, and now it's a Democrat state. So that's a prime example that we need to just go out there and vote. And if you really study those few days of the counts of the election coming in, it's the difference is just by
very minute. Yeah.
Very minute. You're talking about like kadang-kadang ratus-ratus, kadang-kadang ribu-ribu saja. But America has like, I think, 11, 12 times more people than us here in Malaysia. So, but again, when it comes to voters, it's much less than that. But when you look at those returns, it's like, man, it's so razor thin. And look, the difference was Georgia, and then Pennsylvania is immediately flipped from Republican, now a stronghold for Joe Biden. And Arizona, shockingly,
when we were like, we basically didn't sleep. And my daughter, who's 9 years old, was just like, Mama, she wake up and says like, are we winning? Are we winning? As if it's our own country. And I said, we still haven't got the win. Why is it so slow? How come Malaysia's faster than them? And I said, well, their country is definitely bigger than ours. And just bringing it back home, whatever you say or whoever you vote for here in local ground in Malaysia, I mean, who would have imagined that just the political scene in our country alone is also macam wow, crazy. Who would have thought that the main whole government would be flipped over by the opposition, and then now the opposition. So it's just haywire things. You have to expect the unexpected, especially in trying times right now. How timely that the pandemic makes you see that. Don't be too complacent and such.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right. So before we get into some fun facts about the inauguration day, it's going to be a little bit more fun. It's not going to be too deep or intense, but we wanted to share with some of you guys about some fun facts and things that we've gathered, some things that I've learned when researching for this show today. And the inauguration, of course, takes place just a few hours from now. But I'm sure there are some of you who may not be too familiar with US politics or haven't been following the news or the elections or simply just not interested, I suppose. But it's great for you to know a little bit more about what's happening.
We don't blame if there are people who don't like American politics. And I mean,
Well, I don't like local politics, but I love American politics. So it could be the other way around for others.
But trust me, there's so much to be learned from the politics of America, especially the past 4 years. And if we study in previous years and previous presidents, there's just so many things that I think if it were to be applied here in Malaysia, it might work. And there's just so many lessons that we can draw from places like the United States, from Canada, all these countries in Europe. So I'm not a political science student or anything like that, but for some reason, politics in America just fascinates me. And I'm quite sure
really
there are some
intrigues.
Malaysians out there who are intrigued by everything that's happening right now.
And it's very different from how we have our politics here. Here, you choose your party, and then the party already elects who they want as their, the next prime minister. Should that party win? Should the majority win? But over there, you get to choose first. So it's layer by layer, and it takes years. And they get to do debates, televised debates. Whereas here, kalau kita letak debate macam mungkin tidak lah kan. But anyway, we will be giving you a quick summary of highlights, and this highlights is Ben and I were like, how are we gonna make this comprehensive, because everything seems so pertinent, so important, but we have managed to sort of like compress everything. And we're gonna start off with you, Ben, while I try and control the slides from here.
Okay.
Here we go.
So we're gonna bring our audience, saya mau sedikit lagi cakap our listeners.
Boleh.
I'm a radio person. We're going to bring the audience back to 2016 when Donald Trump was first elected as the 45th president of the United States. You know what was significant about that inauguration? I had heightened respect for Barack Obama at that time, who showed nothing but class when he welcomed Donald Trump to the White House. Also, can you imagine what Hillary Clinton was thinking when she had to sit through that moment when Donald Trump was taking his oath? I'm sure she's probably thinking like, that could have been me.
Yeah.
So,
and you know how television works. They try and zoom in to see what's the reaction like. But she was very calm, but not pretentious also.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True. And and after losing the election, it's just like, oh man, I just feel sorry for her. I really, really do. But here's one thing that the media recently, in recent days, since the Capitol riots took place just a week ago,
shocking.
There was one particular line in Donald Trump's speech that he said, quote, "This American carnage stops right here and stops right now." And he was referring to what he believes was the state of the economy back then. So much so that Hillary Clinton was like, talking to George W. Bush, and this is insider story that was written in the media. George W. Bush was caught saying this to Hillary Clinton, and he said that was some weird shiitake. So can you imagine someone presidential as George W. Bush could actually say the S word to,
There's a mushroom lah.
So yeah. So yeah, and here's one thing that I also remembered. Did you know that on his inauguration day, he actually filed his re-election campaign with the FEC. FEC is like our SPR over here lah, for his 2020 run. Usually when you want to run for a re-election, you will wait until the third year, then you will file and things like that. But no, he wanted to start his re-election campaign on that first day that he took office. And if you notice throughout his presidency, he did a lot of rallies so that he is able to get donations and stuff like that. And I just find it so mind-boggling that a person like Donald Trump, well, I mean, you have to expect the unexpected from Donald Trump, right? So, but yeah, needless to say, it has been a colorful 4 years with Donald Trump.
That's putting it nicely. Colorful.
So yeah, basically that in 2016. Okay, here we go. I don't want to jumble my notes here. And then next is then as the presidency went on, we know that there was just so many things that Trump decided to do through his executive order. He pulled the U.S. out from the Paris Accords. I remember the first few weeks there was a ban for Muslim majority travelers entering the United States, and also there was like refugees are not even allowed, or refugees have only a few. There was a quota, something like that.
Remember the wall? The wall.
Yes, and the wall. And even during the campaign, he wanted to, he wanted Mexico to fund it. So it's just like, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of that funds could have been used for other better things and other more pressing things in the United States, or perhaps, the US is always known for their technology. Why not use, technology to its fullest instead of having a physical wall? So
I don't know why Donald Trump hated China so much, because the wall never worked for China.
and he always has something to say about China. Anyways, let's fast forward. So January 2019, Senator Kamala Harris of California officially announced her candidacy for the nomination of the Democratic Party. And it was quite a lot of people. 29 candidates declared for the candidacies for the Democratic primaries. Major names that we probably would hear in the media are people like Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, who is
that's how you pronounce his name.
Buttigieg, yeah. I have to read the news for the radio, so I have to find out what his pronunciation is for his last name. So yeah, Pete Buttigieg will be, if confirmed, the Transportation Secretary for this Joe Biden administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren also decided to run, and Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York. And then it was in April 2019 that the former Vice President Joe Biden announced his candidacy, and he was the 20th major Democratic candidate to enter the race.
Why did he come in quite late?
I'm not sure. I think he just knew that he was going to run. I guess kasi chan lah siapa-siapa yang mau di depan.
Kau rasa macam tu kah? I was surprised only. That's why when I was looking at the time, I'm like, oh, he came in much later. Yeah.
So if you notice, Daphne, during the debates for the Democratic Party, there was just like berderet ba orang.
Yeah, ba.
Like all the lecterns were arranged in like this line. It just feels so weird. So it was just. It was just too many people, I think. Then we all knew about the first impeachment of Trump. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, announced at the start of a formal impeachment inquiry against Trump, and the House adopted 2 articles of impeachment against him, abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. I don't want to get too deep into it. It's just going to take too much time. But because the Senate was controlled by the Republicans, obviously they're going to vote along party lines. Trump was acquitted of those charges. So yeah, and then fast forward in December 11th, 2019, the Hawaiian Republican Party officially scrapes its state Republican caucuses, declaring Trump the winner by default, because he is the only candidate to declare for its ballot by the December 2nd deadline. And this is to be expected, because usually the incumbent presidents are usually given way by their party to run for a second and their final term. And that's part of the Constitution. So.
Oh, it's not like a gentleman's agreement, or like, it's part of the Constitution. Wow, okay.
There might be some people who say that, okay, I might be, an alternative, if you will. If you take a look at the results for the Iowa caucuses for the Republican, there were 2 additional candidates that were going against Trump. But of course, diorang punya vote 100% sejak lah. I think Trump won 97% of the votes in Iowa. So it was clear that usually the incumbent president would be, running again for office for his second term.
Just so that viewers who may again not be familiar with how the political, just in a brief, very nutshell. So basically, the president who wants to, offer himself as a candidate, he has to win these states, districts first, or how does it work before?
Yeah, usually it's more of a ceremonial thing. If it's an incumbent president
Okay.
they will usually just put in the votes and say, you know what, Mr. President, go ahead and run and things like that. Unless if there's something major, then usually the party would give way for the incumbent president to run his second term.
So if it's like the Democrats, where they aren't the administrations, the administrators, then how does it work for them then with the
Then-
29?
Then you have that 29 major candidates that we talked about just now.
And then they have to vie for each other.
So they have to vie for each other, and they will
Right.
use the caucuses as a temperature to see how big their support is, or shall I say, their winnability, so to speak. You know, we talk about employability, you and I, Rakyat Marhaen, but for them, it's more of a, am I worthy to become president? Will I get the votes? So yeah.
Which actually leads me right to the next timeline here that we have here. The presidential primaries and caucuses, as mentioned by Ben, is held during the February to August last year. And again, it's like an invisible primary. I think this happens so that they can just basically test water lah. Basically to see if it's worthwhile. And this is followed by the formal announcement of candidacies and a series of televised debates and other events, which I really, really like. I like the fact that they have televised debates, so it's very, very transparent. In January 21st, 2020, the first case of COVID-19 in the US is confirmed in Washington. And February 2020, this is when the start of early voting in California started, and then that's when other states followed suit. I think you were mentioning earlier on about how Iowa Republican caucuses are won again by Trump. Okay, the Senate ends the impeachment trial of Donald Trump and votes to acquit him, well short of the 2/3 majority. On March 11, the WHO, the World Health Organization, declares COVID-19 a pandemic. By now, primaries are now all postponed indefinitely. April 2020, Sanders, he suspends his campaign. I think he's been like campaigning to be president for quite some time, hasn't he?
Yes, I remember when I was in the States, when Barack Obama was elected president during the elections for the Democratic Party. I think he was one of the candidates as well. Widely popular, I must say, especially amongst young voters.
Because he's lovable and stuff, or what is it that attracts the young voters to him?
I think it's because of his policies, and it's a long list that I think people can just Google, and he strikes the right chord with young voters.
And but yet he is not the president.
Well, keep in mind 2018, Barack Obama.
Yes.
Had a great social media presence, and I think the young people also loved that. So may the best men win, and Barack Obama prevailed.
All right, let's move on to June 2020. What happened then, Ben?
All right, so we know that a lot of these caucuses were postponed because of the pandemic. So Biden actually makes his first campaign stop in months after the pandemic lockdown, and he was discussing race relations. I think a lot of us remember about the Floyd killing and how the Black Lives Matter movement really, increased awareness because of that. We saw riots, we saw all these marches, and remember that one particular moment when President Trump actually called on the National Guard to, barricade or, make way for him to have a photo op in front of the church with a Bible in his hand. I thought that was really, it was a striking moment that everyone was like, man, it's geleng kepala lah. Memang geleng kepala punya apa. So, fast forward, July 2020. Of all people, Kanye West announced an independent campaign for president and does not officially file to run. And some say it was, it's a publicity stunt for his new album, I guess. But here are some interesting notes about Kanye West.
Yep.
He decided to register a party. And guess what the name of the party is? It's called Birthday Party.
I didn't know this fact.
Yes, so
Wow.
he registered a new party called Birthday Party. So obviously he wasn't serious, but people still voted for him. He received about 60,000 votes in 12 states because when he announced his candidacy, it was somewhat too late to be in some of the states' ballot.
Right.
So yeah, but guess where he got the most votes?
Where?
State of Tennessee, where it's a Republican state. 10,000, just over 10,000 votes that he received there.
Oh
in
yes, that's
Tennessee.
right. He came in as an independent candidate. That's right. He was not Republican. He was
No.
yeah. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. So then July 7th, Trump notifies the UN of his intent to withdraw from the WHO, which is absolutely a facepalm moment. Say what you want. But I guess this was, one of the many things that happened during the presidency. Trump being the nationalist, making America great again and taking care of internal issues and trying to not be, shall I say, to be the highlight in international stage. So yeah, it was it's yeah, it's just mind-boggling to say the least. And then August 11th, Biden officially selects Kamala Harris as his running mate for vice president, and they make their first official appearance immediately after that. And then come the debates. So August 27th, Nancy Pelosi urges Biden to skip the debates. This is quite surprising because usually debates are the core of the election so that you understand what the candidates are, what their policies are going to be and how do they respond to certain issues when they're on stage.
Yeah.
I remember in previous elections, there was one particular format that I love, and that was the town hall.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that because you interact with the people. But if you notice Joe Biden and Trump's debates, it was all with two lecterns on the stage. And it was, I don't know, it's because of the pandemic, social distancing, but it's more fun to interact, to see how the candidates interact. So obviously, Nancy Pelosi said, Joe Biden, go ahead and skip the debates because Trump will probably act in a way that is beneath the presidency and belittle what the debates are supposed to be about anyways. And we've seen during the first debates, but
He just shuts you off. He just goes somewhere else.
Exactly.
He is such a bully.
Yeah, but Biden said, you know what? Let's just go ahead with it. And I'm still going to go with the debates, and he did. And then we'll go to September 19th, and Trump calls Biden, quote, the dumbest of all candidates.
How can he say that? He said that publicly.
I mean,
gracious.
he disses everyone. If you go on New York Times, there's a whole list from the beginning of his presidency up until this very day of all the disses that he has made, all the not so nice remarks that he has made for people. So yeah, he said, dumbest of all candidates. You can't have this guy as your president. Maybe I'll sign an executive order that you cannot have him as your president.
Suka hati mak dia je.
Yeah, exactly. So September 23rd, when asked during a press conference, Trump declines to commit to a peaceful transfer of power because one of the reporters asked, well, what happens if you don't win? So, he was just too confident that he will win, but he just declines to say anything about it. So yeah. And then on a week later, September 27th, the New York Times published a report stating that it has obtained at least 2 decades worth of tax return data for Trump, showing that he paid no income taxes. I think a lot of us remembered this in 10 of the previous 15 years. And Trump obviously calls the story, well, you guessed it, fake news.
That's his comment for everything, right? If it's something that he doesn't like, it's fake news. It's fake news.
Yeah. So fake news became this word that you and I would use quite often, and I think it's just mind-boggling. Seriously, it just is. So yeah, basically that.
Okay, let's move on. Now, October 1st, Biden hosts a virtual fundraiser. versus what Trump does. He attends a fundraiser at the Trump National Golf Club in New Jersey. The very next day, Trump and his wife, the First Lady, were tested positive for COVID-19. Tests were administered to the President and First Lady because their public relations executive and political advisor, Hope Charlotte Hicks, was tested positive. So that's when they decided to go for a test and they were positive.
I mean,
Apparently,
there,
though,
Daphne,
yeah.
Because I have the TV next to me, I'm not
Okay.
able to show it, but it seems like President Trump was on Marine One, which is that famous helicopter.
Yeah.
And now Trump has just arrived at Joint Base Andrews, about to board Air Force One for the final time to his post-presidency home in Florida. I think a lot of us read in the media saying that he is obviously not going to attend the inaugural. So this is proof that he is definitely not attending.
He's just going.
Yeah, and he also dictated somewhat that he wanted like a military send-off. So I don't know who else is going to be there. I saw Air Force One at Joint Base Andrews, and there was like a stage with all the American flags and also speakers and whatnot. So I'm just looking at these footages right now. It's just remarkable. It has never been done before. Usually presidents would always show to the world that peaceful transfer of power and being gracious if you are not re-elected or if you are at your final term, and you would attend the inauguration with past presidents. Barack Obama's there, George W. Bush is there, as well as President Clinton. So yeah, these are former presidents that are still alive. Ford, President Ford, he is in his 90s, so obviously he has to take care of his health. I don't think he's fit to travel, so he will probably just watch it on TV.
Although I have this conversation with my girlfriends about this in the news, my news WhatsApp group, and they were saying, jom, kita sangka baik. Bila dia kata dia tak nak pergi inauguration, at least dia tak two-face. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's sangka baik. Yeah, sangka baik. At least he's not like, I'm not going to pretend that I like to be here. I'm not going to pretend that I'm a gentleman, because I'm not. So I'm not going to go. I'm just going to F off, you know. We've got lots of people commenting over my Facebook. Francis Lungye says, at least Biden is not gila like that Trump gemuk. The whole country nearly collapsed because of Trump. Time to change for the American people. Well, the times are a-changing indeed. And so we've got some, so thank you all for commenting. We're gonna teruskan perjuangan kami untuk continue with whatever we have to say. So that was Donald and Melania getting tested for COVID-19. And I remember some of the news report, because obviously when you're sick, you rest, right? But I think he wanted to go out and about to go and continue campaigning. And I think he was a little bit lucid, or he was high on drugs or whatever. Drugs as in like medication.
Right.
And there were audio reports of him like slurring and just going off. He's already a bit not quite right. And then he's, meditated, and that was a whole different ballgame altogether when he's highly drugged. October 8th. The Commission of Presidential Debates announces that the second presidential debate, scheduled for October 15, will be held virtually. Biden agrees, of course, while Trump says he will not take part with the virtual debate. Instead, he holds a rally. So you can see the rally there with all his supporters. And mind you, so he was tested positive October the 1st. This happens October 8th, just a week later. He is not wearing a mask there. Obviously, okay, for social distancing, what have you. But come on. And you know how he speaks, right? Kan tampias tu semua keluar. I'm like, oh my God, no. And he was coughing. While he was delivering his speech. Okay, next, yeah.
I just find it, for the United States, a country that is known for its science and technology, medical breakthroughs, I'm quite sure he has been advised by, the best of the best. And Anthony Fauci as an example, So I just feel that him downplaying this coronavirus as something that is not serious is just wow, it just speaks volumes about how he just doesn't want to pay attention
What is
to
that
them.
word for it? He's very disillusioned. I think he doesn't. I don't know what's going on in his head. I'm curious. If anyone makes a movie about him, I'd like to see a creative version of going into Donald's head, and just this October 27, 28. Apparently, the White House science officer, he initially sends, get this, guys, a press release listing that ending the COVID-19 pandemic as one of Trump's top accomplishments during his first term. What? And the next day, they're used to this, huh? They on, off, in, out, flip flop. The White House issues another press release saying the previous release was, quote and unquote, poorly worded.
Fake news, right?
Yeah, fake news. No, they just said it was poorly worded, but like, how can you, I don't know lah. I don't know. Over here, we see October 30th to 31st. What took place is a Biden campaign bus is swarmed by caravan of Texas Trump supporters known as the Trump Train group. So they actually have this like a fan group. I call it gangsters actually, causing the Biden supporters on board to call 911 to get a police escort, eventually cancelling their Austin event. The following day, Trump, ever so fast with his fingers, tweets a video of the caravan. Why do I keep saying caravan? Caravan surrounding Biden's bus with the caption, "I love Texas." Psychos, yeah.
I just don't know what this hate relationship that Trump has for Biden. I mean, considering if you were to read Biden's history, he is such a
Lovely man.
lovely person. He is also an accomplished politician. He could reach across the aisle easily, and he's friends with all these people. So I'm just. I don't know.
It's very hard not to like him. You know what I mean, Ben?
I know. And considering that he has so many personal life stories that America and also the world would know, his son obviously passed away. A lot of us would know that. And here's one.
Actually, he lost a couple of family members. He lost his wife.
Yeah, he did. His wife before Dr. Biden. So Beau Biden was 46 years old when he passed away. And today he will be sworn in, Joe Biden, as the 46th president of the United States. I mean, is that a sign or what? You know?
We will be showing you guys, hopefully with sound, just a snippet of how Biden gives his speech in Delaware and he gets all emotional. I mean, the fact that, Ben, you just mentioned that out loud again and I'm like tearing up. It's just so, that emotional feeling because he speaks so fondly of all his family members. Jill is such a wonderful, such a down-to-earth woman, very much like Michelle, but probably even more mumsy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not saying that Michelle ain't, but Michelle's still a little bit, that Harvard law graduate. She's still warm, but Jill's even more like, come on, guys, very strict with the family, being a teacher and all, but lovely, lovely family. I don't know how anyone could hate the Biden family. So moving on, of course, November 3rd was the US elections, and we waited a few days before the results came in. And in November 7, Trump refuses to concede. They're him looking so grumpy. Actually, that probably is his normal look, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah, I guess so.
Now, November 15, Trump tweets, Biden only won in the eyes of the fake news. That's surprising, isn't it? He can really tweet like that guy.
And remember, I think in recent weeks, he even spoke to a few people in Georgia. I forgot their names and what their titles were, trying to ask these people to find votes for him.
Oh, that's right.
It's just...
Go look, and I can imagine him barking those orders.
Yeah. So we know for a fact that the media has also reported that Trump would always have a foul mood at the White House if things don't go his way.
In fact, reports of media are coming out now. I think they're now berani lah. Semua dulu takut, but now they're berani and they say he's such a bully. This is what happened, and all these unseen footage of him being just downright being a bully and just being nasty is all coming out.
Yeah, indeed. And I think I don't want to write on your point here, but what you're about to present here shortly is something major.
That's right.
That happened just a few days ago.
That's right. When this happened, Joe comes down to the office downstairs and said, "Did you hear?" And I said, "What?" And he had this look on his face like somebody died, right? And we've got a relative who's not feeling so well. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. But then when I
which
found...
Joe you're referring to?
Joe Lebose. Mahabe. And there can't be another man coming into my house like randomly, isn't it? And then he told me about the captain. I'm like, huh? Because I was still a bit blur, right? And then when I saw the news, it was just shocking to see how what a peaceful demonstration turned out to be just such a nasty, nasty thing. Yeah, so that's what took place. 5 deaths.
Yeah.
And including Capitol Officer Brian D. Sicknick, died over the course of the event, and dozens were seriously injured. Capitol Police are overwhelmed and forced to retreat up the steps of the Capitol. And it's really scary because if you've seen the footage, I'm sure you've seen the footage, you can see all of Trump's supporters going like, I don't know, there's so many. I think all the late night talk shows all sort of replayed it, and now they're going to get into trouble because they've basically publicly announced who they are and showing that they are causing, that's a crime. What they're doing is a crime. So yeah, they're all going to get it.
You also notice during the insurrection, a lot of these people were, recording all the events that's happening, and it's
live stream some more.
Live stream and videos and photos and whatnot. So obviously it's going to go on social media.
Yeah.
So I'm quite sure there were a few notable characters that caught the attention of people. An Olympic swimmer was part of the group who went there. I think there were several other people as well who were in weird costumes and stuff like that. Brought along flags, white supremacy flags, and also the Confederate flags, that sort of stuff. So it's like, senang boleh camba ni orang-orang kan.
Ya,
So
macam kau...
And there's one person yang paling bikin ketawa.
Yang mana
Nancy
satu?
Pelosi had a lectern.
Yes.
And then dia pergi angkat lagi itu lectern, pergi senyum lagi sama kamera. And I'm like, that's like the silliest thing you could ever do, because for a fact that the authorities are going to chase you.
Do they not think that they're not going to get into trouble? I'm trying to also understand, what were their thought process like when they did all this?
Yeah, it's I don't know. I was also reading a lot of my friends' comments. Some of my American friends who are currently there, and obviously this has never happened before. Except in the 1800s when the British actually wanted to storm into the capital. But a lot of Americans are just, they're just angry. They're just angry that this happened to the US Capitol, that a sitting president would, through a speech, would tell these people to just go ahead, do whatever that you can to block the official votes of the electorals to certify the election. So it was clear that Trump was just doing all he can to try to make the election in his favor. Obviously, he failed, but I think if we are going to remember his legacy, because we always talk about legacies and previous presidents, it's just macam hancur sudah bah.
Hancur. But the thing that disappoints me is, I'm sorry, I'm a bit jumping from our notes here, is I think Senator McConnell, if I'm not mistaken, he's recently come out very strongly about how he is pinning Trump as the reason why this all took place, because prior to that, all the Republican leaders were all saying like, no, like denying it, sort of backing him up. And Trump, you can see, no matter what, you can see how strived he looked when he had to, tell people to calm down. But at the same time, he's telling people to calm down and, don't fight and whatever. He tweets a video telling writers that he loves them. Go home. That's like a not so maksud tersirat. You know what I mean? Si Trump.
It's just, and then we know what happened to his Twitter account.
That's
shortly
right.
after that.
Facebook and Twitter removes Trump's posts. I think Twitter suspended it for about 12 hours. Was it 24 hours? I can't remember. And then when he finally got his account back, he tweets, "I will not attend Biden's inauguration ceremony," for those of you who asked. Jeez, so budak, man. I tell you.
These media, when writing about the president, they're just it's, I don't know. I feel that after the election, it's like at the end of a football game where
Kan.
you would handshake your opponents and you just focus on what's ahead. But no, he
That's
just
what's,
wants
yeah,
to
like be a sportsmanship,
crybaby.
a gentleman,
Yeah.
lah, you know. I mean, no matter how much it pains you, and that's just how we're supposed to live with each other. There's going to be wins, there's going to be losses, and you just have to man up and just accept defeat when it happens. But obviously, this man doesn't take it or handles it very well. Twitter permanently bans Trump. That's on January 8 when he actually tweeted the fact that I'm not gonna come in. And then
I don't want to interrupt you, Daphne, but
what's
I'm
happening
looking
now?
at
Updates?
CNN right now.
Yep.
Donald Trump and also Melania Trump were on a stage where Donald Trump delivered his final remarks as president.
Okay.
And now he has just entered Air Force One. He just waved at the crowd. The door is about to be closed, and soon the aircraft will take off to his post-president home in Florida.
Sometimes you watch all these like Beavis and Butthead sort of movies, or those really bodoh punya Hollywood movies are just for laughs, something really, just one of those, what's the word for it? That type of comedy lah.
Slapstick.
Slapstick,
comedy,
thank
yeah.
you. Yes, slapstick comedy. It's nice to imagine certain scenarios, and right now I'm imagining Trump being such a baby, and he's on the plane. He's like, okay, since I can't be president anymore, you jaga. I'm going to do something to this plane so that the next person who sits here won't enjoy this and that. And I can actually imagine him like taking a pen, pergi tulis, things like that. And people will say like, no lah, what? I mean, he was the president of the United States, Daphne, but things like that, and you can actually stop and say, tapi he's quite capable of doing that, or yang mau vandalize the plane. Kau rasa, that's just, I know it's silly, but that's the sort of things that I imagine Trump would do, because he is capable of doing so.
Again, expect the unexpected from him, right?
Okay. I've already mentioned all this. In January 13, Trump is impeached for the second time.
For the second time, and this is the first time in history that a US president is impeached twice. So obviously, all the ongoings of that impeachment will take place after Joe Biden is sworn in as president. So we will see what the next few weeks will hold when it comes to the House of Representatives and also the Senate. I think Joe Biden also made a major speech not too long ago, requesting the Senate to also not forget about the important matters of the day, COVID-19, trying to recover from the pandemic, and also paying attention to the economy, that sort of thing, because I think it will take a lot of time for the Senate to concentrate on this impeachment. So Joe Biden also mentioned that he let the impeachment takes its course, but also don't forget of the matters of the day.
I like that. Very sensible.
Yeah,
so there's not like
very
revenge per se, because some people will pursue that and put that priority compared to what is really important on the ground. People are sick, people are dying, people don't have jobs. It's not just here in Malaysia, but all across around the world. But especially America, where we look up, whether we like it or not, we look up to what's happening in America, because that's sort of like a contoh for us lah. Every time Trump tweets something stupid, I'm looking at the stock market, I'm going, oh no. Oh boy. So I'm sorry, I sort of took over your notes earlier
it's
on.
okay. No worries. I
But
mean, that's the fun of it. We get into a discussion, and we're able to cover for each other, I guess.
And we're already like 1 hour in. That's just crazy, right? But guys, I hope those viewers at home, I mean, if there are any watchers, you see like watchers, listeners, watchers, viewers still with us. Ben and I are talking about America United. America United is actually the, what do you call it?
The concert. right?
the concept. No,
The concert's name, I think.
no, yeah, it's supposed to be like the, what do you call that? Not topic ba? Apa kau panggil tu? Dia punya tema. Dia punya
The
tema.
theme, yes.
Yes, the theme. All right. So, okay, no, Trump doesn't believe in science. Don't worry, today new president will sit in the White House. Yes, Mel. I'm wondering if, oh, hi, Mel. Melissa Ambrose Quadri. I know you've interviewed her a few times. You know her personally. She's
Yes,
also
I did.
online. But yeah, so if I'm just wondering, Ben and I are wondering if there are any Americans who are residing in Malaysia and are watching this by chance. I don't know, mana tahu. Ataupun maybe some Malaysians who are living in America who's watching this, mana tahu. Please do comment and share with us your thoughts on what's happening, and are you happy, are you not? Or if you want to keep...
Maybe some of the audiences, if some of them have been to America to
Yes.
either work or study, and if they want to share memories, please go ahead and type them out. We would love to read them.
All right. I don't know about you, but I'm going to take a swig of water.
Go
Because
ahead.
saya macam... I've actually been taking a few sips already, but are we still
It's
good to
always-
go?
It's always good to hydrate. I have a huge bottle of water.
Do you
here,
know that
so-
I was almost admitted because I needed to be dripped, given the drip.
Yeah, you mentioned that in your
When I was
Instagram.
dehydrated, I didn't think, you know how sometimes these Hollywood celebrities like, she had to be hospitalized because of sheer exhaustion and dehydration. I'm like, come off! What nonsense is this? And then when it happened to me, and it's the shits, yo. I mean, it's a different sort of sakit tau. And I'm like, the doctor kept saying, Daphne, you can't diet. You need to drink lots of water. You're breastfeeding, okay? And she kept checking me every hour. You drinking your water? So now I'm like peeing like nobody's business. But yes, dehydrate yourself, guys. Hydrate yourself, guys.
Hydrate.
Nanti you dehydrated.
You don't want to get dehydrated.
No. All right, we're gonna go into the fun facts about the inauguration. Some fun facts. I've learned quite a bit here. I think we're gonna
Tell us.
start off. Yeah, let's see if I can continue with the manual power slide. Okay, so what happens during the inauguration day? It's held every January 20th of the year that the election takes place. So let's say last year, so it'll take place this year, and it falls today on the Wednesday. And today marks the 59th presidential inauguration in American history, a tradition that began in April 30th, 1789 by George Washington, the very first US president. Joe Biden will be, as mentioned earlier on, the 46th US president to be sworn in, and this will take place in the US Capitol building, Washington DC. I wonder if they managed to clean up after what happened on the 6th. I'm sure they did. I mean,
Well, looking at the footage right now, and I've been glued to CNN since this morning.
Yeah.
It looks spick and span to me, so it really is being cleaned up already.
but all the other monuments, I mean, there's some very symbolic, I don't know what you call it, relics and stuff like that.
Statues or-
Statues
yeah.
and stuff, all been just vandalized by these poor lost souls.
Yeah.
Let's be nice. Poor lost souls.
If there are anyone who is lucky enough to enter the US Capitol, I remember when I was in Washington, D.C., just entering that building.
Yeah.
There's this wonderful sense of understanding the history of the US, that you are in one of the most important buildings in the world. You akan rasa hormat ba sama tu tempat?
Sangat.
You know, you
Even though you're not
feel like-
American, right?
Exactly. I mean, you and I, we're Malaysians, and
Yeah.
the fact that we are given the opportunity to enter a building like that and to understand its rich culture, its history, especially when it comes to democracy and politics, there's a level of decorum that you need to, that you have to bawa you punya diri, to respect the place. And just to see those images of people just entering it like it's, like it's back in the 1700s. It's trying to take over a building or trying
With such barbaric
Yes,
behavior.
exactly. Trying to also kasi pecah the cermin lah, vandalize the pintu and all the statues around. It's just,
And again, I don't want to stereotype, but you've got this picture of those who are macam galangas ba, yang naughty kan? They look like your average Joe and Jane. Very nice people who are probably just misled. You know?
So it's just upsetting to see those images. But, you know, we know that Trump will be impeached for a second time for what he did. So we'll see what the news will have to report about that.
That's right. So, just going back to what the inauguration is, or what the main thing is, the main part and the only significant part is the fact that the president will be sworn in. And in the swearing in, it's going to take place a few hours from now, 1 p.m. Eastern time, which will be...
It's 12 p.m.
Sorry.
Eastern time.
12 p.m. Eastern time?
Yeah,
so Malaysia will be...
So it will be 1 a.m.
1 a.m. There you go.
Yes,
Sorry.
1 a.m.
Correct. So it's 1 a.m. here.
They
Yeah.
are 13 hours behind us.
And there'll be the recitation of the oath of office. So Ben, perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so the oath of office, the exact words I may read. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve and defend the Constitution of the United States. Now, it's interesting to point out that so far, all presidents except for Franklin Pierce have chosen to use swear rather than affirm. And do you know, Daphne, at Barack Obama's first inauguration in 2009, not 2008, I think I mentioned 2008.
Correct, I was like counting back.
It's 2009, 2009
2009.
is when he took his oath. The elections were in 2008. Chief Justice John Roberts stumbled over the wording. I think he was just nervous at that time. He was part of history and things like that. And the two gentlemen decided to do it over again the next day in the White House.
But just the two of them, or like with the crowd?
Without the crowd, obviously,
Okay.
but with their family members.
I guess they wanted to make sure it's bright lah. Macam kalau kita nikah jugalah. Kalau dia punya apa? What do you call that, Papa? Like when you nikahkan and then it has to be done in like one lafaz.
Yeah, satu lafaz.
Satu lafaz. So kira macam tu lah, mungkin tu kasih fahamkan kenapa ba so important this. Macam satu lafaz begitu betul. So they had to redo it.
They had to redo it, and all is well. So that's I think. In addition to all the pomp and circumstance, as we know later today, Lady Gaga will be singing the national anthem. That's not part of the Constitution. There will be musical performances as well, just trying to make it all ceremonial and trying to make it all pomp and circumstance. That's not part of the Constitution. It's just to kasih cantik, menambahkan seri majlis lah.
Alah, macam kita orang jugalah. When got the signing ceremony, got opening dance. After that, got like something dance or some band playing. Macam tu lah. You see, that's how the MCs sort of like make it like an analogy for the public to sort of understand. If there's any updates, Ben, do keep me updated.
I'm looking at the TV right now, and Air Force One is on the runway and has just took off.
Bye, Donald.
To Florida.
And this is where my head...
aviation fans out there, if you are able to download Flight Radar, you can actually track that aircraft taking off from from the
tapi because of security reasons, boleh kah itu? I'm sure they...
Yeah, I you know what? I think there's a neighboring country's presidential jet that arrived in KK, and yes, ada pula diorang punya information in that particular app.
Serious? Now we know. See, we learn something new every day, guys.
I know.
Like, did you know that, and I assume this also, a lot of people assume that when the president-elect takes their oath of office with their left hand, the book is a Bible. But apparently it's not required in the Constitution. Okay? No. Franklin Pierce, again, I think this guy wants to be like an oddball, as well as John Quincy Adams swore oaths on law books. They decided maybe they don't believe in religion. I don't know. Lyndon B. Johnson used a Catholic missal found on the airplane in Dallas. Theodore Roosevelt used no book at all. So I wonder what he did. I guess he just said that.
Just do the
I
oath,
solemnly swear. While Dwight Eisenhower, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama used more than one Bible. They want to say like, nah, I janji, saya janji, betul-betul saya janji. I like I wonder how they did it. I forgot already. because I was just like looking, I'm like tearing up when I remember Obama's inauguration. I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy they won.
I remember taking the day off just to bask in that historic moment. It's
Sure.
just something that I'll never.
You're so lucky. I mean, was there anything happening? Because you were in Tennessee, right?
Yes, I was in Nashville at that time.
Nashville. So was there any event? Because obviously Washington, and that's really far. But like, what?
Yeah.
Did they have like some local event to commemorate it or something?
I don't remember of any state events that happen locally, but obviously it's being broadcast live on TV on every network, including the balls that that they had at night. And I'll never forget when I think it was Beyonce who sang
Beyonce.
at last. So yeah, and
Oh, yes,
Barack
that's
Obama
right.
was dancing together with Michelle Obama at that time. It
And
was
I
just-
think there was some naughty people probably from the other side, or people were just being cheeky, because there was one, they took a picture of Beyonce, and she's like sort of, Beyonce's a performer, so she's bound to, flirt and stuff like that. It's just part of the song, part of the performance. And kebetulan dong tangkap ba Michelle Obama going, and padahal Beyonce and her are like, we're tight, y'all. We're girls. We run the world, girls. So that was quite cute. I'm like, people trying to macam incite hate. Now, why do people do that? Why do they purpose do that?
Well, American media is always sharp to capture all
Cepat
these
je macam-
little moments, and make
Like,
news out
no.
of it. It's just fun.
And I guess it sells newspapers, or in this case, brings
Sure.
views, eyeballs to their site. All right. Yes, so that took place.
After the oath and the address comes the celebrating, and usually there will be a parade after, after the speech, and there'll be lots of parties to attend. Not forgetting the inaugural ball, but unfortunately this year the parade will be virtual and will feature performances from around the country. What you're looking right now is the crowd. I think the left hand side was from Barack Obama.
Yes. Oh, you remember this?
Yeah. I remember that very well. And then obviously on the right hand side was Trump's
when Trump was,
inauguration.
And of course, what did Trump say?
Dia punya yang paling ramai, lebih ramai daripada
Yeah,
Obama
he said
pun.
like, no, that's fake news. Yeah, so I took this because I was trying to look for a visual to say parade, and everything was just, and I found this visual, and I thought I'll put this in just for laugh's sake, because you know how Trump
And actually
is.
this year, since you're using that photo, it's quite significant to also inform our audience that because of social distancing and obviously because of the riots that happened a few days ago, Washington is closed.
Yep.
No visitors are allowed. Airbnbs were cancelled, reservations were cancelled automatically, and right now the Capitol Mall, they say, right, where those people were congregated, are now placed with flags to indicate people who are not able to attend the inauguration. It's never been done before, and if you're able to take a look at any news features on Facebook, or even if you have satellite TV, please go ahead and turn on the TV. It's quite a remarkable sight. It's never been done before, very unprecedented, especially during this pandemic era. And then usually the Capitol building, it will be filled with swarms of people, but because of social distancing, there's distance between each person, and I've never seen anything like it.
And Ben, you and I, as performers ourselves, MCs, we thrive. Say, come what may, we do thrive on the reaction from the crowd.
Oh, yes.
That just makes it feel good. So I've done a few virtual events with very limited people, and it's just not the same. Like the tapukan pun macam alala kasihan, and then it doesn't bring the pompousness or the ceremonial feel of the thing. So I'm glad that it's Biden, because I think he's like, yeah, let's just get this over and done with. I'm very sensible, because it's nice to know and to be acknowledged that, hey, I won the presidential seat. I am now the 46th president of the United States. It's nice to be acknowledged. What come what may, no matter how humble you are, it's nice to be recognized as that. But in this case, it's going to be a very subdued event and ceremony, and we just have to make do with virtual events from all around the country, right?
And I think he will be fine with it. And
Oh,
he has a huge
yes.
task ahead of him. And I think a lot of things that needs to be attended to during the first few days of his presidency. I think he's just ready to go to work. And with him being the next president of the United States, he will be the oldest. And before was Donald Trump being the eldest.
You know, when I was going through some of the news and stuff like that, and I see some of the haters that come in and they said like, oh, we hope he drops dead just before he takes the oath. It's just so horrible. I don't know why they say stuff like that. But let's keep it real because like I said, expect the unexpected should something happen to him. Does that mean Kamala takes office as the president of the United States?
Correct.
Is that how it happens in the Constitution?
Same like Joe had to put that
Allah.
sound effect. So, going back to John F. Kennedy's assassination, and the vice president back then was Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yep.
So obviously, while transporting the body of JFK in Air Force One,
That's right.
they had to administer the oath for Lyndon B. Johnson to be the next president of the United States. Maybe some of our audience remember, if you are Netflix fans and if you watch The Crown, you probably remember that one particular scene when Princess Margaret went to the US and went to the White House and then to meet President Lyndon B. Johnson. And he did not like the fact that people were talking that, oh, he only became president because of the passing of JFK.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's something that Lyndon B. Johnson never likes, and that's obviously apparent in The Crown, and also amongst American historians who study Lyndon B. Johnson would know that he never enjoys being in the shadows of JFK. Even after his death, people were still talking about JFK. And did you know that Lyndon B. Johnson visited Malaysia in the 1960s? He
Oh,
was
really?
the first American president to visit Malaysia after our independence, that is.
I will be showcasing some videos of just to localize this show a little bit in just a bit. But yeah, so we will be seeing past presidents and past prime ministers who have
yes.
met up with the leaders of the country, and we've got proof and evidence which I will be showcasing in just a bit. So we all know right now, it's confirmed now that you've just said that Air Force One has gone off to Florida. He is definitely not attending the inauguration.
Marine One.
Huh?
Marine One.
Okay, Marine One.
Air Force One,
Sorry.
yeah.
Did I just say Air Force something? Okay, sorry.
Marine One is
Helicopter.
the helicopter that transported him to John Andrews Base.
Andrews. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where Air Force One is waiting.
There,
for
he's
him
already on
to-
Air Force One, lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I pay attention to Ben. And was planning an early morning send-off for himself. I think Ben had mentioned the fact that he initially wanted a military parade and large
Got
crowd of
his, 21 gun
supporters.
salute. I think I saw it just
Did
now.
he?
Yeah, he did receive his 21 gun salute. There was a stage for him to deliver remarks. I am not sure how the crowd was because when the camera panned to the attendees of that particular event, it was just a close-up. So there was no way of telling how big the crowd was. But media reports saying that those who receive invitations can invite up to 5 people, and itu mo kasi sengaja mo kasi ramai-ramai lah ba. Making a set off. Yeah.
Sian. But some people want that, I know certain leaders nearer to home who like that. They like big crowds, but I
Yeah.
shan't say who. Okay, so yeah, so he didn't get his send-off, like a major one, because I think Pentagon was saying, no way, we're not going to give this to you guys. Very quickly, let's take a look at just snippets of what Trump had to say in his recorded speech. Let's take a look right now. So you can see the difference of emotions. One is void, and one's very emotional because of the fact that he is Biden, such a lovable man. And what I didn't manage to edit in was the fact that from Trump's speech, he never actually admits or mentions Joe Biden's name. He only says the new administration. So that's one.
Correct.
Yeah,
yes.
he doesn't say that at all. And I think there was, I couldn't find I didn't have time to edit that part in, but he says something along the line, you need luck. Something like that. So mean. Like,
Yeah. And that's an important word or something like that. That's what he mentioned. So it's like, when he has these prepared texts being given to him, he will always add that, emphasis and all of that. So it's like typical Trump.
about 4 years ago, is that a cat there?
Yes.
I thought it was like my kid. I'm like, is that my son crying? Hi! See, let me see your cat.
Well, this is a neighborhood cat that is scared of me, but for some reason he just loves coming into the house. He gets scared of the fan, and now he's trying to...
Oh, you mean it's not inside the house?
Yeah, he's inside the house now. He's okay. He's just...
It's okay?
Yeah,
No,
he's
because
okay.
really, I swear to God, I thought it was my son, and I'm like, okay, I need to go and menyusukan now. Like,
Hang on, just a second. Let
go
me-
ahead. I will continue talking to the viewers at home. So yes, whilst we wait for Ben to settle his pussy issues, just to let you all know that in 2016, Obama hosts the Trumps. Okay, and very gentlemanlike. Obviously, they don't see eye to eye, but they are kind and honorable in that sense. I was just telling them, Ben, that 4 years ago, Barack and Michelle Obama hosted Donald and Melania at the White House before traveling to this ceremony. And yep, Trump has definitely made it clear that he would become the only president in the century and a half. Of course, he has to be something, right? He has to plug in like, it's me, it's all about me, not to attend his successor's inauguration. However, Vice President Mike Pence will be attending the inauguration. But yes, so that just comes to show just how much of a sore loser he is. But again, Sangkabaye, maybe he just doesn't want to be two-faced. So he's like, I don't want to be here. So why should I just pretend? So I don't want to be here. Yep.
Well, at least former Presidents Bill Clinton is going to be at the inauguration, George W. Bush, Barack Obama as well. Usually the past presidents, if they are fit, they are usually being extended an invitation to attend the inauguration. And also their respective first ladies as well will be attending. Usually when the first ladies attend these types of events, I will always pay attention to their fashion sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always fun to see what colors they wear and the style that they try to portray in these awesome events. And also we know for a fact that celebrities will be part of the inauguration. We know that Lady Gaga will sing the national anthem on her Instagram page. There was a photo of Lady Gaga standing in the middle of the Capitol building where the Oculus, if the dome basically is called the Oculus, if you're inside, has this wonderful painting fresco, if you will, and it's just a lovely shot of her inside the Capitol building. So she'll be singing the national anthem, and then Jennifer Lopez as well will be doing a musical performance along with Garth Brooks as well. He's also scheduled to perform as well.
I know I'm just segueing again, running away from our notes here, but have you ever been to the White House? Because when Joe and I went to US years back, just the two of us, you can actually schedule a visit. But at that time when we were there, for that particular reason, they closed because you have to book in advance, months in advance. So I sort of booked in advance, and I was so devastated that I couldn't. So I was just standing there in front of the White House, like, okay, at least tapun-tapun, ada kepunan juga saya tengok juga sini. I was, of course, at the Capitol and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just curious to know if, in the 11 years that you've been in US, did you fly over to Washington and try and get yourself a visit to the White House?
Well, the White House has a special protocol, a special procedure if you want to visit. Obviously, some parts of the White House are open to the public, but it's not as easy as purchasing a ticket. You have to write to your area's representative.
Oh, that means for
Yeah.
those residing in US, because ours
Yes.
was just writing in. I mean, there was still a lengthy application, but it's not so. Okay, so what's your?
Yeah. So because during my time when I was there, obviously 9/11 happened, so security was tightened. So I think the White House was closed for the public for a number of years, and I think it was until Barack Obama assumes presidency, then he reopened the White House for public to visit. But yeah, it's a long process that you have to write to your representative of your area, and then if there are just too many applications, you will have to go through a lottery. So yeah, very complicated.
Now I remember. You're right. We went around just after 2011 took place, and that's the reason why. Yeah, that's probably the reason why we were not granted access, because the forms were all there, but then they said unfortunately, but they didn't mention why. But it was, yeah. Now I remember, because I'm like, why cannot go in this? And you start googling and you find out like, oh, that was the reason. Now you've just jogged my memory, and that's the reason why we couldn't apply.
It's okay.
I know.
Even more reason for us to go to the States when this
That's
pandemic is
something
over.
that Ben and I
That's
want to
a
make
plan,
happen.
right?
That's going to be a plan. We mentioned earlier on, or I mentioned earlier on, about the Bible. A lot of people assume it's the Bible, but some people have used their law books, some have not used at all. Obama has used 2 Bibles. What's so significant about the Bible that's going to be used by Biden today?
Well, as you can see in this footage, one most apparent feature is the size of that Bible. It's huge. It's a huge Bible, and it's not just some random Bible that you pick from the library of your family. Well, it's a family heirloom basically,
Yeah.
and this Bible has been with the family since 1893.
Wow.
So it's more than 100 years old, and it's also the same Bible that Joe Biden used during his senatorial and vice presidential swearing-in ceremonies. So yeah, it's huge, as you can see. I'm trying to say it like Trump. It's huge.
It's huge with his hands.
Oh gosh. And
yeah.
Harris will be sworn in with 2 Bibles, apparently. One held by her husband and one belonging to Regina Shelton, a person important to her, and another Bible belonging to her former Supreme Court Associate Justice Thurgood Marshall.
Wow. Okay.
I think because Kamala has that law background, so obviously she wants to include as many as possible. So
Maybe she should have one like a law book and the other has a Bible. I mean, that should have been an option, kan? All right, so after the swearing in, hopefully everything is smooth. No one's going to mumble their words. It'll be like satu lafaz yang smooth.
Yes.
Joe Biden will then deliver his inaugural address, which will basically lay out his vision to beat the virus, build back better, and to bring the country together. Hence the theme for the inauguration, which is America United, which is quite befitting because of the challenges that he is facing. He and his administration will have to get down and dirty right away. So that's
of inaugural speeches, I think the audience might probably remember some certain quotes from previous presidents, 2 in particular that we might remember offhand. Franklin D. Roosevelt, during his first inaugural speech, mentioned the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I think that also is a very popular quote that, if you want to make it happen, you can't be scared. So we have to be scared of fear. So yeah, basically that. And then JFK, the famous quote that he mentioned in his inaugural speech: ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And basically these quotes, saya pun pandai,
bulu roman naik ke atas, kan?
I think for inaugural speeches to really resonate and also to stick in the minds and hearts of the people is to make sure that those quotes are a call to action, something that people can relate to, and something that can be done right away. You know, so and it's a call to action that the public to do what is right for the greater good.
Have you watched House of Cards?
House of Cards, I have.
All the way to season 6?
No, only
Oh,
the
okay.
first 2 seasons. Yeah,
You didn't like it?
I I don't know if some of the scenes are exaggerated or perhaps
it is.
you know, I'm quite sure you can't reveal everything about the White House or the presidency, you know, for security reasons. And I just, but I love the plots, I love the twists and turns and all of that. So I guess it makes good for drama. For
Yeah,
TV.
it was. I got hooked on it, and I can't believe it took me only this year during the CMCO, during ironing, that I got to watch it and I got hooked. But what I wanted to highlight here is the fact that, okay, so you haven't done until season 6, but the script writer's role is so important because it has to make, it has to sound like the president, but the words have to be so like, on point bang, ngamba. And then if salah satu word saja silap macam, it brings a different tone altogether, because people, especially the media, can just sort of twist and turn, and you know, so every single word is calculated. Everything has a reason, for the intentions are all there. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the inaugural address that's going to take place in hours from now. And Kamala Harris will be sworn in first, followed by Joe Biden, right? All right, let's continue. Tengoklah kita bercerita-cerita.
So after the address, obviously, you know, Joe Biden has this tough task ahead of him to heal the nation. So I'm quite sure he will use this speech as a chance to reach out to the American people and try to heal. Trying to use that as a chance to call the nation to heal and look forward to better times ahead, hopefully. So after the address, Biden, Harris, and their spouses will participate in a pass in review featuring members of the United States Armed Forces, and then it's followed by a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery, and they'll be joined by the former presidents as well over there.
So these are like all traditions, right? That's what take place. The oath,
yes,
and then followed by this what do you call this again? Sorry,
this is a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and then later on, before that, they will do the pass in review, featuring the U.S. Armed Forces.
What does that mean? A pass in review, actually? Apa
it's
itu?
Like macam apa tu yang tengok-tengok askar tu.
Oh, like marching. Apa kau bilang gitu?
What do you call that? What is the term?
Not Oh my goodness. Sorry, it's just like we were like texting each other until past midnight.
It's past my bedtime. I'm not complaining. I don't want it to
But I'm sure you viewers at home understand. When he said that, I got it. But if you guys, so the march, it's not okay, pass and review. That's, go and Google it, guys. But I sort of know now what it means. All right. So that takes place following the wreath-laying ceremony. What takes place next is a parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. They will escort Biden and Harris to the White House and include every branch of the U.S. military, along with drumline bands from Biden and Harris's alma maters, the University of Delaware and Howard University. Wow. Okay, this is what's being said here. So that's quite significant, because I think when they plan, the committee plans this whole inauguration, despite the fact that it's scaled down and everything again is very symbolic. Everything has a reason for why they choose a particular performer, particular event. I understand, and I did manage to get this inside, but I don't know if you heard about that small girl, who during the pandemic started to sell virtual lemonade tickets.
Yes.
And then I think she was selling it and she wanted to raise 90 ringgit. But I think Biden's team actually found out about this girl and she raised 53,000 ringgit. From 90 ringgit, but dia punya dia mau buat virtual lemonade. Saya bilang kan, macam mana dia mau buat tu nanti ya? Because apparently she said like you can claim, because it's like virtual vouchers kan. Nanti kau boleh claim lah, lepas pandemic is over kau boleh claim. But she has to like make 53,000 ringgit, ringgit US of lemonade. I'm
Well
sure people
done.
are just giving it to her lah, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. But isn't that sweet? So that she's gonna be, they're gonna have like a concert after this. We're gonna talk about this later on. But she basically is the opener for Tom Hanks, who'll be hosting that special.
Wonderful. Very good. Very
Crazy,
good.
huh? Yeah.
I mean, these concerts, usually it's just trying to get the crowd excited of a new era, a new presidency, that sort of thing. I think this type of entertainment, if you will, the arts have always been part of every presidency, and I think especially during Barack Obama's time, I think it was a great moment for African American artists to be featured. You know, they always have these state dinners, and they would always have these mini concerts to entertain their guests, and they would always invite all these random black artists to come and perform at the White House, and some are performing for the very first time. So yeah, it's it's always interesting how symbolic arts and culture play a role in the presidency, and this time around is no exception with everything being scaled down. This major primetime concert with star-studded lineup, basically. I mean, you mentioned Tom Hanks is going to be there. I think Foo Fighters is going to be there. Bruce Springsteen, John Legend. So it's just the who's of who's in American arts.
You know, just before we get into what to expect from Biden and Harris's first 100 days, some of your thoughts, some of my thoughts about this. You spoke about this briefly, about fashion, right? And I remember a time where some highbrowed celebrities would say, why is it that the women are always asked, oh, what dress are you wearing? What gown are you wearing? And they felt very demeaned by that question, as opposed to like, how did you feel acting in this role? You know, it was always about fashion and when they're walking the red carpet, you know. But having said that, I too look at the fashion and what they're wearing, and it's not just in this inaugural ball and stuff, but like, let's say whatever the princesses are wearing, because they try and highlight certain fashion designers. And again, there's always a significant, because they want to highlight perhaps this lady who is a local who has this, and there's always a story behind it. And I think it's great, and they shouldn't feel that, you know, fashion is deemed frivolous. If they are able to use this platform to highlight other social, issues that can help other people. I mean, that's what most celebs are doing nowadays. They prefer to choose a designer or something that is a little bit unknown, and then they will highlight and say, okay, because this person actually loves helping the safari or the wilderness and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I can't say for Melania Trump because of her taste in fashion, but to highlight your point, it was Michelle Obama who really made a statement when it comes to fashion.
Yeah.
So much so that she would just pick any clothes from shops that you and I would go to, J. Crew, for instance. Did you know that one of the dresses that she wore, and she actually purchased it from J. Crew, and people found out about it thanks to the internet, and immediately people stormed the online shop, and it was sold out immediately. And talking about highlighting artists as well, or even fashion designers, I mean, if we really were to study Michelle Obama's first lady's term, if you will, there's so many artists and fashion designers that were highlighted during her tenure at the White House. So it's just amazing to have that particular platform being used in a positive way.
Correct.
To lift culture and to lift American arts, and also to highlight these talented individuals, which is something that is not done much during the Trump presidency.
And you have to bear in mind that Michelle Obama is not just some wife. Okay, she's a Harvard graduate. She is just as capable as her husband. And she's just amazing. And fashion was not her thing. She admitted that. And you can see the transition of her wardrobe and how they made her, sort of, what do you call that? Made over, did a makeover for her.
Yeah.
Without going too far from her brand and her identity, but still looking good, you know. And so she used that platform to say, look, if people are going to ask me what I'm going to wear, I might as well do good with this, you know.
I think it was mentioned also in Barack Obama's book that Michelle never loved, these frilly designs, and she's like you and I, pergi mall biasa-biasa saja, pergi beli baju, that sort of thing. So she's never exposed to wearing expensive dresses and couture, that sort of stuff. So I think that resonated with a lot of Americans who
Just wanted who just wanted someone that they could relate to. It's very relatable. It's the same with, just digressing a little bit, with the Duchess of Kent, right? Kate Middleton. She uses stuff in Topshop.
Yes, very true. Yeah.
I remember some of the designs that she would just wear, and they were very simple, but yet very classy, classic cuts. And she's got a beautiful figure, she's very healthy and fit. So so she too was not into, haute couture and stuff. I mean, she will wear it, but she's just as grounded as Michelle is. And that became like a fashion thing where she would get fashion from, what do you call it? Kalau yang macam Topshop, apa itu? Not fast fashion, apa gitu? I don't know. High street?
Sure, if you want to call it.
Saya punya fashion sense ni macam janji dia bersih, jalan.
You know what, Daphne, I remember you posted something on Instagram. You're not a fashion model, you sendiri mengaku.
Yeah.
But you know what, you always rock your couture and your I'm not saying this just because to kasi kipas-kipas kau, but you have style, girl.
And now that we're speaking of this, and again, I'm sorry we're digressing a little bit, itulah mapanjangkan sikit. Please guys, I know a lot of people think that wearing the same baju and posting it over your gram is not cool, it's macam but let's make recycling all your gowns that are able to be, that you can still fit, just use it, and let's make that a trend instead, okay? Don't diss me if I'm using the same dress over and over, because as long as it's clean, I'm very happy that I'm still able to squeeze into it. Alhamdulillah. All right, Ben, what is the administration's agenda for the next 100 days? You're going to go first. Let's talk about Joe Biden. What are the expectations?
So obviously, the first few days in office is going to be dominated by crises. Off the bat, he will have to do something about the coronavirus pandemic and the economic emergency that it caused, as well as the fallout from the deadly Capitol riot. From last week. So it's going to be a busy first 100 days. Even later, after he is sworn in at about 5:15 local time, their time, he will be signing like 17 executive orders right away. A few days ago, he actually signed the COVID-19 relief package. I think it was 1.9 trillion US dollars, and it's a plan that included national vaccination programs. I think it was 20 billion, and then there's going to be stimulus checks being given to families, and also raising the minimum wage to about 15 US dollars an hour. And also Biden has pledged to provide 100 million doses of vaccine during his first 100 days of his administration.
Right.
I think Anthony Fauci has mentioned that it's possible, so we'll see. That's important. The coronavirus will take center stage in the next few days. We need to see action. Macam saya pula American ching.
Actually, you're right. We too. Here, we're still under MCO, okay?
Yeah,
all right.
We're still under MCO, and that is for another another show to talk about local stuff. And then obviously Biden has this new tax plan that includes raising corporate income taxes to 28%, and currently the corporate tax is at 21%. So no one making less than $400,000 US dollars a year will see their tax being increased. So that is something that people will be looking at as well. How soon will this be passed is yet to known. We also know that Joe Biden will bring the US back into the Paris Climate Accords.
Oh, thank God for that.
So that is something that he will want to do within his first 100 days. In addition to that, he also wants to host a climate world summit to directly engage with leaders of the major greenhouse gas emitting nations of the world to persuade them to join the US in making more ambitious national pledges. So yeah, I think we saw during the Obama administration a lot of things were done, and then Trump came into office, and then a lot of things were were overturned. So I think mau cakap this is another nostalgic way of the way Barack Obama ran his presidency, tidak juga, but we're seeing hallmarks of that. So we'll see to how far this will go. And then obviously one issue that's close to my heart is immigration. We know that President Trump, because of the wall, had this law basically that separated families who were caught or who were
Kids,
arrested
children.
at the border, so they had to be separated. So can you imagine if a family is trying to cross the border illegally, and because they are caught red-handed, and the child will have to be separated from their parents, and it's just heartbreaking. And if any of our audience members who really want to know more about the plight of immigrants and also what the authorities have to deal with, there's a show on Netflix called Immigration Nation. I think it's such an eye-opening documentary that every person should watch. Even
What's the
if
name
you're-
again? Sorry?
Immigration Nation.
Okay, Immigration Nation is the thing to watch if you're keen
Yeah.
to find out more on Netflix.
Yeah, so obviously Biden, during his first few days, he'll want to create a federal task force to reunite the children with their parents who are separated at the border.
Bless him.
And he also wants to send a bill to Congress to provide a pathway to citizenship for 11 million undocumented people in the United States.
Yes.
So this has been one of those issues that has been going on for many decades about undocumented migrants. But my observation in the US, these people, they pay taxes just like the normal American person, and they would contribute to society. Look at Miami, for instance. Miami, more than 60% of the population are foreign born. So, it goes to show that if people from outside of the country, if they're welcomed with open arms, and if they're given the chance to contribute, Miami is your best example. New York, even. Another great city that a lot of people want to visit in the United States. That is also another city that thrives on the success stories of immigrants. So it'll be very interesting to see how fast Joe Biden is able to put these things in place. And also what I'm looking forward to is the that he will also revoke the travel ban on Muslim majority countries as well. Remember during the first week or two, President Trump had this really vague executive order banning people from Muslim majority countries to enter the United States. So it's just been a tough ordeal, especially those who have families in the US, and it's just been very tough for them to visit and also to exit the country because they fear that they'll not be able to return to the US even if they have a green card.
And it's scary, because my husband and I, we went to Hawaii, we went for his birthday, and it was also a working trip. And we were stopped in immigration for a few good hours. And their intelligence, is that what we call it? The intelligence? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is so detailed that they found out that his Instagram account was Joe Labosi, and they started finding out who else is Joe Labosi associated with. And we were put there. Of course, I lepas. My name is so like England, right? Actually, it's Greek. But of course, I'm traveling with my husband. And he was saying to me in bahasa Melayu, he said kita relax je because mereka sedang memperhatikan kita, because obviously kita cuak lah. We were worried, oh my God, here we are looking forward to this trip, and we're, and it was not just him, it was also our pilot on Air Asia who's also Muslim. So can you imagine us bayang, he can't even hurt a fly. Okay, he can hurt a chicha. I've seen that, but that's about as violent as he can get. You know what I mean? And all those innocent people who just want to see their family, like you said, or just going for a holiday. It's just troublesome. So I'm really looking forward to that too, revoking the travel ban on Muslim countries and sort of lowering the stereotype against Muslims.
Well, I mean, security has been really tough ever since 9/11 happened.
Yeah, I understand that.
And, I think it's just a country's way to really secure their borders. I, for a fact, feel safer when I was in the States. I don't mind going through all of these hassles. I know it can be a pain in the butt to some people, but for me, if I have nothing to hide, so
Yeah.
if I come clean and if everything goes well with my visa, the moment I cross the border, then I feel safe. I really, really do. So
Because
that's
they've
what-
actually weeded out
Yes,
potential.
they weed out all of these potential threats and all these people who might seem to who are unwelcome in the United States, because you don't want a country that has visitors who might have criminal records and all of that. So the moment when you cross the border, especially for me when I was staying over there, I really felt safe. I really, really did. So of course, I think I remember reading a particular news piece when it comes to the U.S. Embassy in KL. I think the rate of apa ni, kelulusan. See, it's past my bedtime. I can't even speak English anymore.
Totally
the
get
rates
it.
of approval, the rates
Yeah.
of approval for tourist visas was about 98%, I believe. So that has been, it's
So
a
it's
very
good. It's not so
number, yeah.
difficult because
Yeah.
he took a while before his visa was approved, and it wasn't just the technical parts. Like dia punya gambar salah or tidak cukup putih, the background or whatever. But I can't remember what it was. But he had to go like a few times, and I'm like, that's it lah, tidak jadilah kita punya trip mau berromance di sana Hawaii. I think it was even before then.
But
But
you guys made it to the land.
we
of the
made it,
free,
so
yeah.
let's just rejoice on that. All right, let's take a look at what we're to expect with the vice president. Now, this is especially meaningful for American women and girls. The glass ceilings are breaking, guys.
Yes,
Kamala Harris is the first African American, first Asian American, and first woman to hold that office as vice president. And again, bear in mind, bless Joe Biden, but he is the oldest president to be sworn in soon, in a few hours. So anything can happen. Touch wood. I'd like to see all his, plans being executed and fulfilled. But yeah, should anything happen, Kamala Harris would be the next president of the United States. Now, in April 22nd, 2019, Harris stated that if elected president, because of course she was running for as a president candidate, right? Before she was, it's a whole ball game altogether. She told the public that she would give lawmakers in Congress 100 days to pass reasonable gun safety laws. So she's very, very against guns. And if they fail to do it, then I will execute action. I will take executive action. So I'm not quite sure if this is something still in her pipeline. I couldn't find, as of last night, what are her plans for 100 days. But then, of course, she would have to adhere to whatever Biden and executive is saying. But I'm sure she has her own agenda and she would like to push through. So I don't know if this is going to be one of them. And she's expected to swear in 3 new Democratic senators, Reverend Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff of Georgia, as well as former California Secretary of State Alex Padilla, who is now replacing, or who will be replacing her. So this gives the Democrats control of the Senate, and the upper chamber will be split 50-50 between the Democrats and Republicans. Now, what does that mean when the upper chamber will be split 50-50 between the Democrats, with Harris providing the tie-breaking vote in her role as president of the Senate?
So
Can you just elaborate?
So I believe the Senate has 100 members, I believe. So because of the new 2 new Democratic senators, so now there's a balance, so to speak. So because the VP is a Democrat, so obviously she gets to cast the tie-breaking vote. So obviously the Senate is now controlled by the Democrats, which will make it easy for the Democrats to push their agenda. It was the same same not issue, but it was the same situation during the first Obama administration, and then the second midterm elections. Then the House of Representatives was controlled by the Republicans, so it was a little bit difficult for Obama to get legislations being supported or pushed, and to get it to be approved. So yeah, the Senate obviously will be controlled by the Democrats, which is something that a lot of people are looking forward to. And we also know from the midterm election of President Trump that the Democrats control the House of Representatives.
Okay.
So that's why Nancy Pelosi became the Speaker of the House. And it's a breath of fresh air to see a lot of young Americans and also immigrant and women Americans being part of that historic Democrat pool, if you will. It's just amazing to see that diversity, and that will be enjoyed by this administration too.
And what I like most about it is the diversity is there not because people are demanding diversity. I mean, of course, we want that. We want to ensure there's diversity in terms of gender, in terms of background, etc., etc. But these people who are filling up these roles have merit. They are credible people, individuals who just fit the role perfectly. How soon will we be able to will we expect Biden to announce his cabinet? I mean, is there a protocol, is there a constitution that says he has to say it within a week, or how does it work in US?
Well, he has announced a lot of his cabinet members, but the process is slightly different in the States.
Yeah.
So kalau di Malaysia kena lantik saja kan, but in the US they have to be supported by a committee, so they have to go through interviews, grilling, that sort of thing before they are confirmed to hold that particular post. And when we talk about diversity, I think this will be one of the most diverse cabinets if all are confirmed. Pete Buttigieg will be the first LGBT secretary to hold office. I think I read just yesterday or early this morning, the assistant health secretary will be a transgendered person even, and she's a doctor. Wow. And also there is a Native American, the first Native American to hold a cabinet position in this administration. So these are just amongst the few, I don't want to say display of diversity, because as you mentioned, these people have merit. I think we should see that merit first before we see the color of the skin or a sexual orientation or even background for that matter. We can't be tokenistic about.
I like that. Tokenistic.
I think we in the United States we've passed. We again, macam saya American lah pula. I think Joe Biden being being a person who's been in and out of the Capitol building, he knows a lot of people, and I'm quite sure he gets good recommendation from people, unlike Trump, who has never hold any political office whatsoever. So he has that inside knowledge of who is best fit for that particular position. So if we notice in the cabinet, in Trump's cabinet before, the secretaries were like, people who donated for his campaign, like Betty DeVos. I mean, she has no education background. She was the education secretary. So I'm like, of all people, kenapa dia pegang itu jawatan?
At least
so it's like,
kasih pandai sikit ba kalau kau mau kasih kau punya orang kan? You know what I mean? At least be a bit clever in that sense. And that is the reason why I like how you were saying they have to go through stringent interviews. Everyone else has to approve. It's not just main suka hati kau. Although I don't know how it worked in Donald Trump's administration, because like you said, you've got some very, a bit funny people in his cabinet, but that's just how he works. Now that Joe Biden is back, I think it's also like a transition from what Obama was building with him as Joe Biden as his vice president, and now just to sambung balik. And I think, despite it all, I think having a leader like Donald Trump, it makes you realize how much of a good thing is good when you don't have it anymore. because now people are saying, okay, saya faham, I need to exercise my right to go and vote. I am a citizen of country ABC. Go and do it, and don't complain kalau kau tidak dapat kau punya leader yang ni. And it's just nice how we should apply it here too. You know how people are always complaining about, I don't like this, I don't like that. Then kau dah pergi vote ka? Kau sudah register. I know friends who still have not registered themselves as a voter. And why are you smiling? Are you registered already kan? Kau sudah register kan? Okay, saya diam. There are friends of mine who have not registered, and it's not because they don't have the means to do it, they just simply do not care. Now, friends who do not care and do not comment about the political scenario of the country, then I'm okay. But orang yang bising-bising, I'm like, bukan kau tidak pergi vote ka? Kau tidak tolong juga kau punya community? Itu saya marah. So, going back to what we've learned from that fiasco about having such a horrendous leader, and now just to appreciate the good. When you have something bad, you really truly embrace the good and be grateful of whatever good is there. What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I agree with every single point that you made there. Despite what is a tumultuous 4 years under President Trump, I think there's a huge appreciation to what were the things that were absent in a normal presidency. So macam mana mau cakap Trump would always go on Twitter and would always have this a blast of words, and ada saja dia mau pergi maki, ada saja dia mau pergi apa, dia mau cakap buruk pasal orang. So I think I will not miss that. I really think that if you hold the office of an important job, not just in the United States, but in the world, that every decision will matter. Every word that you say will matter. And
you can't just retract it because it's going to be there. People will screenshot and it's shared and viralized.
And with this canceling culture that we have right now, people always have records of previous posts and all of that. Boleh Google saja ba?
Yeah,
so so it's always like it's going to be something that I will absolutely not miss. And having lived in the States, when I saw, I've experienced George W. Bush. I've also experienced Bill Clinton before George W. Bush took office. Obviously, I was in the United States when Barack Obama took office. So you are able to see these three gentlemen, despite their differences in political ideology. George W. Bush is Republican, and we know Bill Clinton and Barack Obama are Democrats. We know what is it like for them to be presidential. We know that every word matters. As you mentioned just now, Daphne, referring to House of Cards, every word is scrutinized. There's no room at all for, ambiguity. Everything has to be pinpoint. Precise, exactly. Because the last thing that you need is someone misinterpreting that particular word. Otherwise, it will mean something else. We saw a lot of these, I would say, accidents, if you will, in the Trump administration, because a lot of directives were, too general. There were no specifics, So it will be nice now to see that the presidency is now normalized, so to speak.
You know who's going to be missing Trump though? The comedians.
Who?
All those late night shows. They don't have any material. They're going to be like, oh my God, Joe Biden is so straight. He's doing everything right. What are we going to talk about? Oh God, we can't be talking about, what are they going to be talking about?
Exactly.
Every single night, if they're doing something, almost every different late night talk show host will have something to say about Trump. Wow. Every single night.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's something that they're gonna miss.
I'm quite sure, because it's very easy to just gather content by just reading newspapers or online portals. So yes, we'll see.
All right. You know what? It is 10:58 in Malaysia time. That's when they start the event, and I know you've got an early day tomorrow. That means you won't be watching the inauguration like this year?
I might just watch a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like a little
just
awake, and I might just make a cup of Milo or something, and just events like this. It's history. Like,
exactly.
you and I are Malaysians. We're not Americans, but we know for a fact that America will always have a special place in our hearts. I lived there, you visited, and Joe had a wonderful experience there as well. So obviously, those experiences are something that you will remember because it is something major that you experience. Not everyone gets to visit the U.S. and. Just to be there, to try to understand its history, to understand its culture, to understand its place in the world. It's just something that I will cherish. I always looked up to America. I've always looked up to the ideals. I also had my own version of the American dream, just like any other
What was your
immigrants.
American dream? Or is it a to
Well,
sense? Yeah.
I love the hospitality industry. I got a lot of training there. I was able to complete my degree in the States. I was able to work at one of the best hotels in the country. I was also surrounded by wonderful bosses, leaders, and also mentors who shaped my thinking, who shaped the way I perceive the hospitality industry. That's my background. I studied hospitality and also business. And America is just one of those places where if you dream big and if you know how to find a way to make those dreams a reality, apa-apa saja boleh jadi. You can make it happen on your own. And that's one of the things that I firmly believe. I don't want to say that I am, being a macam apa orang cakap macam terlampau, macam di kayangan labay, that sort of thing. But no, to have an American dream is great. You also have to pair it with sheer determination and hard work. And I was lucky that I have a lot of people around me who are supportive, who will always push me to be my best over there. And it doesn't matter in studies, in my career as a hotelier there. And I bring that spirit back to Malaysia, and it's something that I cherish for the rest of my life. If I were to return, I don't know if I'll have a chance to work there again.
That was actually going to be my last question before we wrap up the show. Do you think you want to go back there? Because I know you're very fond of US, but what are your sentiments? If you had a chance to go back, and when I talk about going back, it's not just for a holiday, but like going there and living your life there, would you do it?
Gosh, Daphne, that's a tough question. I have family here. I love them dearly. I think us being Malaysians and also Asians, we have family being part of our lives, and we are basically nothing without them. So it's not quite a hop, skip, and a jump to go to the US, and then if things happen over here, and then it's not quite the trip that you want to make. It's quite an ordeal. I don't know.
You don't know.
I'll just let life take its course, the same way as how life has taken me to this particular point in
Exactly, from
yeah.
hospitality to now doing entertainment, emceeing, and doing trainings of your own. Ben, it's such a privilege co-hosting this special with you. Thank you so much for spending 2 hours with me.
It's a long 2 hours, but I had fun.
I had fun. I knew it's going to be fun. And I think, inshallah, I think we'll do more projects together, and let's figure out a way how we can do that, even if it means going virtual.
I would love to. I would
All right.
love to.
So send my love to all at home, and I hope the cat's fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
And let's keep in touch and see what's happening for the actual inauguration. I hope everything will be running smoothly. Any final thoughts or words to our viewers at home?
Final thoughts. Well, I hope that a special event like the inauguration would put us let's just pause and really think about where we are at in history right now. Even though it's a country far, far away, but we know for a fact that whatever happens there, it will eventually trickle down here. I also want to highlight the great US-Malaysia relationship that we have. We always have great partnerships in trade, investment, security, environmental cooperation, educational, cultural activities with the US. Did you know that the US has a history with Sabah that spans over 150 years, even way before the independence of Malaya and the formation of Malaysia. So we go way, way back. And I hope that this relationship will continue. I hope that we will continue to do good things together with another great country. And I hope that with Joe Biden's presidency, it will bring a new era to this relationship. It has been great, even under Trump. I hope it will be greater.
Will be even greater. Just sharing with our viewers right now some footage that we managed to download from good old Google and YouTube. So take us through what's happening here. I believe this would be...
This is Lyndon B. Johnson during
That's
his
right.
first visit to Malaysia, the first ever US president to visit our country after the formation of Malaysia. And obviously next to him is Tunku Abdul Rahman.
So this is one old footage, as mentioned by Ben earlier on. He's always had a bit of an issue standing in the shadow of JFK, and but here it looks like everyone is loving the fact that they've got the president on home ground. This is the first time, right?
This is the first time a US president has ever visited Malaysia since its formation. Yes.
All right.
President.
Yeah, the sitting president. Okay, we've got President Reagan here meeting up with our prime minister, the prime minister. Of course, that's Tun Mahathir.
Yes, a dashing, younger-looking Tun Mahathir there, together with Ronald Reagan. This must be in the 80s, I believe. So we know for a fact that Dr. Mahathir would visit, the U.S. quite often, either to do trade or perhaps to address the UN. And this is just one of his many visits to the U.S. And he was invited by Ronald Reagan then.
Tun Mahathir has his love-hate relations with US, so he's quite vocal. When he doesn't like something, he's quite vocal with that. All right, we've got here still Tun Mahathir, because Tun Mahathir was, of course, the longest-sitting Prime Minister of Malaysia. Now he is seen here with President Bill Clinton.
Now, we must also remember that President Clinton and Tun Mahathir don't see eye to eye when it comes to trade. As much as Bill Clinton has done a lot of things in the US when it comes to economy, the economy in the US for that matter, I think Tun Mahathir was not pleased with a lot of his policies. So there was a few times when they have to exchange words. I think Al Gore and Hillary Clinton visited KL. They had a little exchange when it comes to words, and everybody hated the US then.
Oh yes, I remember that. Oh dear. But I guess that's why they are diplomats. They have to have diplomacy, and sometimes harsh communication tough communication has to follow suit, because it's at the end of the day you want to negotiate for the best terms for their respective nation. This one we have Pak Lah.
Tun Abdullah Ahmad Badawi, together with George W. Bush. This was during one of the state visits, I believe, during George W. Bush's presidency. I want to say this is the first or the second. I think it's the second, his second administration, yes.
All right, so that's a standard, formal picture of the two gentlemen, always the two leaders side by side with a coffee table in between them. Let's see if we have any more videos. And this would be
Barack Obama.
Oh, Barack, there you go. I was like, where is he? Oh, there. Okay.
So this was his visit during his presidency to Malaysia. He is the second US president to visit our country since Lyndon B. Johnson. So I think he came to Malaysia twice, did he, as president? So remember when George W. Bush was president, it happened after 9/11. So obviously there was a lot of rift between Americans and also Muslim majority countries. And I believe the foreign policies that were done by the Obama administration was somewhat of the hallmark of their administration to try to, give the olive branch to all these Muslim majority countries and trying to form partnerships again.
You know, there's something about his swag. I mean, look at him.
He's so cool. Even
He
till
is. He's
very
so
day.
cool and it's so effortless. And you know, it's very tiring. I mean, his schedule must be packed to the brim, you know. Again, because I watch House of Cards.
Yeah.
And I know it's fiction, but it's just crazy, right? And but again, he makes it look so easy. I remember when we had to do the ASEAN summit years back. I was pregnant with Isidore at that point of time, and I was already feeling tired. But they just had like a long ass summit, obviously, and then they were late for the dinner. So I remember our Prime Minister had to just shorten his speech because everyone was hungry, all the leaders were hungry, and that was And you can see Obama was of course given time to speak, and he was just like so like relax and still funny, still being able to be funny and formal at the same time. And that's a skill. Ben, that's a skill indeed. I'm sorry, I'm dragging again. Joe's like going like this because he wants to watch the live, what's happening right now. So again, Ben, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Daphne.
I love
Such a
you,
privilege.
and I've
Love
enjoyed
you
this
too.
so much. Take care and have a great morning. And if you're still awake later on during the inauguration, let's text each other. All right?
Let's do. All right.
All right
Thank
then.
you.
Bye, Ben.
Thank you.
And there you have it. That was Ben Ozer, and we were just dissecting. It took us longer than I thought. Initially, I sort of knew that we were going to definitely overrun, definitely more than 1 hour, because when I was looking at my notes, and then he added in his notes, and I'm like, definitely longer than it's. But I will try and cap it to 2 hours, and it's just perfect for our 11 o'clock, and we're going to be watching the events of what's going to take place until the actual inauguration that takes place at 1 a.m. Malaysian time, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, guys, I've just got to go. I think Elon is calling me, but thank you so much for watching. If you're still watching from the start, thank you so much. And in the meantime, on Friday, today's Wednesday, right? On Friday, I will be talking to another Ben, coincidentally. Ben Tung is known as a catwalk sifu, and he'll be showing us how to pose 40 poses in under 1 minute. Can he do that? I'll be challenging him that. So stay tuned, 3 p.m. on Friday. Take care, guys.